Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Switch Online Game Club, the show where we play through the games available on Nintendo's various NSO apps completely at random. I'm your host, Derrick Bittner, and in this episode, I'm joined by Brandon Bovia, a letterer at Shonen Jump for manga such as Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8, and my co-host for our weekly One Piece podcast, One Piece at a Time. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing pretty good, just it feels weird to be in a different context. I already talked to you every week about One Piece,
It
so
is a very different context. But
yeah.
we also but we also have Jenny Geist, YouTuber, video essayist, and all-around awesome person. How you doing, Jenny?
Thank you. I'm doing good. I'm very excited to be here.
Glad to have you here. Glad to have you both here. And as you're both likely aware, there are now over 200 games across the NSO, and while some are widely known like Super Mario Bros. And Zelda, there are some odd picks that could be considered hidden gems. We honestly don't know. So what we'll be doing is entering all those games into a randomizer, picking one, and then giving our initial thoughts. And this week, the Wheel of Games has chosen Yoshi for the NES. And I actually have history with this one, but I'm curious about both of your histories first. So, Jenny, let's start with you. What is your history with Yoshi on the NES? Have you played this before?
I have not. In my history with it is back on the Wii U when they were giving away NES games for 30 cents to early adopters. I downloaded every single one of those except for Yoshi because I couldn't even be bothered for 30 cents for this. But
Rude.
yeah, now I have an excuse to play it and become the world's foremost Yoshi master, so I'm gonna make up for my past sins.
We can only hope. We can only hope. But what about you, Brandon? What's your history with Yoshi?
I don't have a whole lot of history. I've never played this game before in my life. I'm generally not a puzzle game type person. Like I'm horrible at Tetris and Puyo Puyo and stuff. So I'm fascinated to see how I'll land on this. I have almost no expectations.
It is a game for sure. 'Cause I actually have quite a bit of history with this one because well, I have no history with Yoshi on NES, but I have a lot of history with Yoshi on Game Boy. Because I did not have a Super Nintendo growing up, but I did see Yoshi and I love the character of Yoshi. Like I was just like, oh my God, Yoshi's so cool. I want him. It's so neat. So of course, when there's a game called Yoshi on the Game Boy, yeah, let's play this. That's cool. Let's got a Yoshi game. And then it's a puzzler, and it's not a bad puzzler in retrospect. It's perfectly fine. It's a unique idea that's very much Yoshi. I actually have no... Everybody talks about Yoshi's Cookie. I've never touched Yoshi's Cookie. But with Yoshi, the core idea of it is you have your classic Mario enemies, your Goombas, your Piranha Plants, your Bloopers. I think Boos are in there as well. And they fall down and you have to arrange what platform they land on. Because they're always going to fall down the same area, but you can rotate the platforms and the enemies that are on them. And you can't let them get above a certain line, very much like Tetris. However, the way you can either clear them by having the same amount stacked up, but you get no points for that. The way you get points is that along with those enemies, you get the bottom and top of Yoshi's shell. So you got to get the bottom shell down below as low as you can, stack up enemies above that, and then have the top shell land on that. And that's how you get your big points, especially if it's the final one. You have one at the very base. So that's what you're doing. You're basically connecting Yoshi shells in order to get the most points, and that's how you do it. And that's the entirety of the game.
How's the story?
As far as I know, there is no story. It's straight up Tetris. You hit it, you choose your level, you choose your speed, you're in it.
All right.
So you
It's
actually
definitely a strange. Oh yeah.
Oh no, go ahead, Jenny.
I mean, it's definitely a strange evolutionary dead end because it's one of those ones where it's an NES game that released after the Super Nintendo about a
Oh, that's
character that
right.
debuted on the Super Nintendo that they never did a follow-up to besides Yoshi's Cookie that is sometimes referenced. Like they have the Double Dash battle stage that's based off Yoshi's Cookie, but otherwise Yoshi is entirely known for his platformers. So I'm it is interesting that they went in this direction with Yoshi at all.
Yeah.
Evolutionary dead end is an interesting way to put it. I kind
Yeah.
of like that. Yeah, it is like they never made any more of these.
Mm-mm.
Hmm. So Brandon actually pointed out something that I never realized, and looking at the Wikipedia page for this to just get a bit more information, there's a lot of stuff that I did not realize about this game, that it's actually kind of important to the history of the company who developed it, which was Game Freak. This is actually the very first collaboration between Game Freak and Nintendo. First time they ever worked together, because they had previously passed on Game Freak's request to publish their other title called Mendel Palace. I don't even know what that is. And then Nintendo was like, "Hey, we have this game idea for Yoshi. Do you want to try it out?" It was actually suggested by Tsunekazu Ishihara, who actually suggested it.
The CEO of the Pokemon Company.
Yeah. And
Oh wow.
yeah. And they basically wanted to develop smaller games so they can get the financial financial backing to eventually realize its larger scale project, which, a little game called Pokemon. This game helped fund the creation of Pokemon for Game Freak.
Oh,
Pokemon
man.
would not exist if it were not for the Yoshi puzzler on NES.
Yes. And a lot of the mainstays of Game Freak are here. Satoshi Tajiri, director, Ken Sugimori, gameplay concept, and Junichi Masuda composed the music.
Yeah, that's all the OGs. Wow.
Yeah, all the OGs are part of this game. Like, it is
Holy
actually
crap.
shockingly historically
All for
important.
Yoshi on NES. I kind of love
like
that though.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Domino meme where like they make a Yoshi puzzle game for the NES, and then the gaming is changed forever. The most profitable
Yeah.
franchise of all time is created.
Yeah, exactly. There's the most profitable franchise. There it is, and there is multiplayer in this. So if we get a chance, we can actually try to play together and see what we think.
Oh Lord.
But,
We
yeah,
should.
we should try.
Yeah.
And I mean, apparently it never got the best reviews. A lot of 5 out of 10s I'm seeing, but it sold well. 500,000 copies in Japan on its first day.
Oh my gosh.
Yoshi was very popular.
And that's like just Japan. So that's like, oh God, when did this game come out? It was like 92, did you say?
Let's see. It came out 92 in US, 91 in Japan.
Okay, yeah. So but that's like 8 to 9 years of like the Famicom being on the market in Japan.
Yeah. Well,
selling 500,000 copies the first week. Good Lord.
For not first week, first day.
First day.
First day. Here's the other crazy thing. According to this, in the UK, the Game Boy version still sold 100,000 copies in 1997.
Wow.
I don't think everybody kind of forgets how popular Yoshi was when he was introduced in Super Mario World.
It makes it like I have no like, oh, why did they make a Yoshi spinoff for the NES? There's nothing like that where it's just like, well, of course, anybody looking at like the Yoshi's popularity at post Super Mario World would be like, yeah, fund it,
Yeah.
Put it on the NES. It'll take $5 to make.
It was developed in 6 months, so yeah, it did not take much.
Game Freak is probably hey, maybe a little bit reflective of where they've started from and where they're at now.
Yeah. At least this was a bit more, feasible.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And this only came out less than a year after Mario World. It looks like.
Wow.
Because Mario World was 90 in Japan, 91 in the US, and they already got it out the next year for both of them. I just kind of feel like Nintendo was like, oh, Yoshi's really popular, but NES owners won't have an SNES yet. They can profit from them too, so we'll just give them the Yoshi at home.
Yeah. And honestly, this feels like a better game for the Game Boy than the NES.
For sure.
It was perfect for car rides. Rides. Just little short car ride. Like, I'll play a few rounds of Yoshi, whatever. Something to break up the usual Tetris gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's interesting there. But yeah, like I said, I kind of know what to expect with Yoshi, but it's also like, as I stated at the end of the last episode, next week is for us. The next time for us would be Thanksgiving. That's why there's kind of a gap here for this episode. So we have 2 weeks to play this very, very, very simple game.
As it happens.
As it
of
happens.
course it would
Everything.
be. You
I'm
know,
not gonna
maybe
do
we
anything
could have
to
gotten like a
actually-
Breath of Fire or something, or Mario and Luigi.
One of the
or-
RPGs where we actually have time to get through the entire
Yeah.
game potentially and see more, that sort of thing. But no, have another NES puzzler. Sure.
I commit all my time. I'm not gonna be making Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not gonna be playing any Baldur's Gate. It's gonna be Yoshi, double Yoshi Exploshi the whole time.
Oh, goodness. Well, do we have any other thoughts on Yoshi before we take our 2-week break to try out Yoshi, to play this game?
Yeah, no, that's it for me.
I think this is more thoughts than anyone in history has ever had about Yoshi already.
We're gonna make the longest discussion about Yoshi on the NES on the internet, and I think that's something like I can hang my hat on.
Even at 30 minutes, I think that's possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, God. All right. We will see you all very soon, for you anyway, for Yoshi on NES. Till then, everyone.
There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. Because here comes Yoshi, and he's up against Goombas, Groovers, Pooh Buddies, and Piranha Plants in Nintendo's new stack and sandwich puzzle game called Yoshi. Match the creatures and wipe them out. Play alone or with a friend, but mix them and you won't stand a chance. It's challenging. It's overwhelming.
Hey, Yoshi!
It's Yoshi, the new puzzle game for Game Boy or NES. Now you're playing with power.
And we're back after a week of playing Yoshi, and boy, this might be pretty quick. Let's actually start with you, Jenny. What did you think of Yoshi for the NES?
You know what? I had fun playing it. I mean, I had like zero expectations going in, and but I played it for at least like 3 to 4 hours across 2 weeks, so more than I expected. It did get the hooks in me a little bit. It's not a game I'm gonna think about much, but I feel like this is the most anyone in history has thought about it, but between the three of us discussing it here, so that's something.
I don't know if this game has ever showed up on a YouTube essay, and that's saying something.
Why you should remember Yoshi for the NES.
And we kind of already covered that in before the preconception, so it's like it's only that reason. But Brandon, what did you think of Yoshi?
I mean, I think, like I said last time, I'm not really much of a puzzle game person, so it's like, how do you even judge this? Like, I mean, it was fun. I had fun, and I feel like sometimes that's all you need, right? Is like just something good and basic. That's really it. I think as a sort of as a sunsetting like ADS release, I do think it is kind of interesting from that perspective of just like, well, all right, this console's on its way out. Let's just like fun little puzzle game for the kids. That's
pop it out.
What you get for your like 3 or 4-year-old little brother or sister.
So as I said in the preconceptions, and the memories flooded back to me when I started playing it. I had this game on the Game Boy. I really should have grabbed my cartridge, which is just over there. And that's how I experienced it. And I gotta say, after playing this, it's a fine game. It is a functional puzzle game, as much as you'd expect.
I actually think it would be better on Game Boy.
It is better on Game Boy. This is not a great console game. If I had gotten this game on NES, I don't think I would have played it nearly as much as I did as a kid, because when I have the NES, I have Mario Brothers, Mario 3, just all these other games that have just more meat to them. And honestly, I feel the same way about Tetris. Tetris is a better fit for Game Boy. Ironically, the only NES puzzle game I had was Dr. Mario, so maybe I like them different, but Dr. Mario is also, I think, more objective based, so it's a little bit different in that way, that I was kind of okay. I was like, oh, how far can I get this time? Yoshi
Also
is
harder to do on Game Boy with one color.
that is also true. That is also very much true. But yeah, it is great. It was great for its time as a portable game that you took on a car ride and just did your thing. But nowadays, there is little reason to go back to this game at all.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, like especially on the NES, like thinking of it in its original context, I was playing it on NSO exclusively in handheld mode while listening to podcasts or watching TV. This is not a game you put your full attention to at all, which is what it would be on the NES. So that's one strike against it. Also the fact that on Game Boy, it's a better form factor for a game like this. I don't I don't need a full TV to play something like this in general.
Yeah, pretty much. the one I obviously you have the link cable with the Game Boy, but Brandon and I did check out the multiplayer of Yoshi, and I think that would be the one big reason that you would want to get it on console, because it's easier to try out the multiplayer and have these competitive sessions. And I gotta say, this might be the least fun puzzle game multiplayer I've ever played in my life. Like, it is. It took a while for Brandon and I to realize that we were actually facing off against each other and not just, hey, I'm working on clearing my board, you're working on clearing your board. We're just doing our thing.
Yeah, the interaction's like not quite clear at first.
Yeah, we did eventually figure out how it interacts, and basically
How did it interact?
So when you get a Yoshi, and for those who've not familiar with Yoshi, basically you get 4 different blocks. You get 4 different Mario enemies: bloopers, Goombas, Koopas, and Boos. You match up any 2, they disappear. But you also get the bottoms and tops of Yoshi eggs. The goal to get the most points is to get the bottom of the Yoshi egg as low as you possible, and then interchange the different enemies before you get a top egg and get a great, like all comes down, a Yoshi hatches, and you get to move on. And that's essentially still what you're doing. And it took us forever to realize, oh, hey, I actually am sending garbage to you. Because what it actually does is eventually sends, you know how typically it's only 2 enemies at a time? It sends 4, and sometimes multiples of 4 to you.
Okay.
So the bigger score you get 4, and like here's it 2-3 times in a row. And if you're trying to get the best score, you kind of need to, you're stacking up pretty high and doing that risk reward factor. That could screw you and instantly end your game.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's weird because unlike like Tetris, you're controlling the thing that's dropping. Same with Puyo Puyo or like any of these games. Where Yoshi is the only one I've played where you're controlling the base below it. So it kind of limits your ability to have stuff appearing like below you, like when you're playing competitive Tetris. So I guess it only makes sense for it to be stuff that falls. But that's also like, in some ways it makes it harder, but in some ways it can make it easier because it can make you clear things faster too. So it sounds kind of like a wash.
Yeah.
it was fine for what it is, but it was just like, okay, that's how it works, and that's
Yeah.
Move on.
We went. It didn't kick in that competitive spirit between the two of us. It's like, oh, this is how it works. I think that was more.
We're just like, oh, neat.
I will say I tried between Type A and Type B, and I think I slightly preferred Type B, where you progress levels by clearing everything at once. Because it just felt kind of satisfying to me. It was like getting it all clear in Tetris, but that was like the end of a level. Then you have a little cutscene of Mario and Yoshi, which is kind of weird because Mario looks like Super Mario Bros. 3 Mario, but he's on a Yoshi on the NES. So that's weird looking.
Yeah.
Uncanny.
Oh, Super Mario World NES games.
Yeah. I will say, like, playing this game with like I always did it on slow, because when you play it on fast, it's just too much. Like, especially when it gets to the higher difficulties where they have more stacked up at the beginning. It's just like something about the way how quickly it goes down. I'm never sure when it's gonna actually collide with whatever's below it. Like, it's going down like this and the piece is right here, and it's like I'm not sure how much time I even have to turn the plates around, because I feel like it's gonna it's totally variable on when it actually connects. And so I couldn't do it on fast, which is another knock against a puzzle game like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's somebody out there that just can do all this, but I gotta say, as a kind of another knock against this, and something that really stood out when Brandon and I were competing, God, they are stingy with their eggs. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like the core mechanic behind it, but you're basically like RNG. You just you're reliant on that.
It's whenever I need a lid, I get like a bunch of bottom eggs, and whenever I need want to start a new egg, I only get lids that just don't even affect it. I've had times where I get 2 lids and I have 0 eggs out, so I'm just like, that was a waste of a turn.
Yeah, it's different where you gotta like find a way in Tetris to figure out how to make this piece work for you and just fill it in. But this is just like you're only limited to 4 rows and 8 stacks up. Like you fill up pretty quick, and there's not a lot of strategy involved. You're just sort of like, how do I distribute this as best as you can? And sometimes you can get rid of it, other times you can't. I actually had a hard time with Type B just because I could not clear it. I just sucked at it.
Yeah, the trick for me was that I just once I got to like all the way to the bottom, I would just try to keep it like as like nothing as possible. I wouldn't start any egg stacks even, just so when I eventually got that match of like the 2 I have on the field are the same as the 2 that are dropping, it just boom, I'm done. And it's like I'd never try to do anything fancy when I'm on Type B, but it also made it a little more like not strategic, but when you start with a certain amount of blocks, you kind of have to like manage your resources in some ways, where you say, oh, I have 2 Goombas, but no Goombas are dropping right now, so I'm going to have this blooper go on one of the Goombas. So if a Goomba comes next, I can do it on the existing Goomba. But if, I don't know, it's hard to explain a strategy of a puzzle game like that.
I mean,
yeah.
I haven't played it. I know what you're talking about, so there's at least that.
Exactly.
Yep.
But it's also very limited compared to something like Tetris, where you watch someone play it competitively and it just blows your mind. Like, I cannot imagine how you would do that in Yoshi, because what is there to do?
I gotta look up a speed run.
Yeah,
It would be something, yeah. Just a grandmaster of Yoshi. That's the key here that we need to see.
Yep.
Yeah. What did anything else stand out to you, Brandon?
Oh, the music's actually pretty cool. There's like 3 tracks. It definitely it feels like Pokemon Red and Blue is what it feels like. Just like listening to that, like hearing that style again. I was like, this is like classic Junichi Masuda for sure. But so that's something.
Yeah, I think there might be 4 tracks. You got the 3 single player tracks, and I think wasn't it an original track in multiplayer as well?
I've already forgotten.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're catchy and fine when you listen to them at the time.
Yeah.
But they don't stick in your brain like the Pokemon music does.
It specifically, it took me a second to realize. It reminds me of like the Game Corner music, kind of. Like,
oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's sort of like the kind of like fast, upbeat, but yeah, no, it's in one ear and out the other.
It's the type of thing where I understand why there was never like a Smash Brothers remix of this, because they love to do like the random obscure like remixes for like NES games like that. They never did Yoshi, and I can get why.
Yoshi, too obscure.
Yeah.
Why?
No.
Nope. That's the thing. It was so funny growing up, and like everybody was like, I'm used to Yoshi, and everybody else is talking about Yoshi's Cookie, and I'm like, what the heck is Yoshi's Cookie? I had no idea. And apparently in the UK, this is called Yoshi and Mario, which I had no idea.
I mean,
it's honestly kind of a better title. Almost.
Rather, I mean, just Yoshi. What is that? If I was a child in 1992, which I wasn't. And
I was.
Like an NES. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
If I got like a Christmas gift that was just like Yoshi, it's like, what is this?
It's got an uncanny feel to it, like it's a bootleg. Like
almost.
Like
almost. Yeah.
It's one of those Nintendo games that I'm just like, does this actually exist, or was this a collective hallucination? It's same as like Yoshi Topsy Turvy or like DK Jungle Climber. Those ones where I only ever see them in Wikipedia lists. I never see anyone actually talking about them.
Oh, okay. According to Jaden Buck, the Japanese title was Yoshi's Egg, which honestly is probably the best name
Oh, that's the best
yeah.
one.
Makes the most
Yeah,
sense. I think honestly they were just trying to sell it off the Yoshi name. Like, well, let's not tell them it's a puzzle game. Let's just give it. It's Yoshi. You love Yoshi, and I gotta say, as a kid in the '90s, I was very jealous that I didn't have a Super Nintendo. I chose the Genesis, but my family was like, nope, you can't have a Super Nintendo as well. So it's like, oh, Mario World, I want you, and Yoshi's so cool. But hey, here's a Yoshi game for the Game Boy. You can play that. Well, it is Yoshi, and that's something.
It's like it's like a licensed tie-in game to a video game series. It's like the equivalent to like, oh, this is a Looney Tunes game, but with like something that actually has video games. That's what it feels like.
But I can totally, in the context of like a Game Boy game, I think that's like the perfect fit for what this is. But yeah, definitely as a console experience, it's just like, why?
Yeah,
It does make me miss Yoshi Mania though, when he was everywhere. I feel like it's been a while since he's been that as prominent. Like his games aren't as plentiful anymore, and they're not usually as well received. I mean, because I saw this pointed out when they first announced Mario RPG Remake, how Yoshi was in the original box art, even though he's barely in that game, just because Yoshi was recent and everyone loved Yoshi.
They cranked out Yoshi after Mario World. It was, immediately got the animated series for him. You got Yoshi, Yoshi's Cookie, Yoshi's Safari, Yoshi's Island, just everything they could.
Safari was on NSO. That would be a fun one to revisit.
I mean, they found a way to make Duck Hunt work back on Wii U, so maybe.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
They need to do that again. Like, I'm kind of missing some of those rando picks on NSO. Like, we occasionally get ones that are like nice surprises, like GoldenEye, but I miss the ones where they actually have to like do something different, like Duck Hunt, because those are always the coolest ones.
We kind of got that for the Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Because it actually
it
does use that. So it'd be cool if they found a way to do that and give us, bring back Duck Hunt and Hogan's Alley and all those other light gun shooters.
Is Yoshi's Topsy Turvy, is that a DS or GBA game?
That's a Game Boy. Yoshi's Topsy Turvy. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that one. It's GBA. Okay.
Yeah. They should put that one on there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, WarioWare Twisted could be on there. So
those are the ones that are always the most fun because they're also the hardest to like emulate separately. So it's nice having an official way to play it in the most organic form possible.
Yeah, for sure. I will say there's still a bit of a cool factor about this, and maybe I think it's mostly from childhood. There's something satisfying about when you get the eggs to come down and connect and you see the different Yoshi pop out. Like you got for a small one, you get little Yoshi, the little baby Yoshis from like most people recognize it from New Super Mario Brothers U. But then you get like Yoshi with wings if you get like almost all of them. But if you get all like the top to the bottom, it's like Mega Yoshi. He's like a huge.
I didn't know how it escalated.
Yeah. If you have an egg at the very bottom on the platform and you stack it up all the way to the top and you manage to hold on to that until the top egg comes down, you fill them all up. He like has wings, but he's also just an absolute unit. He's huge.
That's one thing I'll give this game that isn't like the most common puzzle game mechanic, is that it does have that mechanic where if you play it not how you would usually do it, where you're not matching them on purpose, you do get rewarded, but it's also a lot riskier. Like that is something I think is a cool idea, even if the game around it is just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like if there was a mode in Tetris where if you make a really messy line, like there's a chance later where you could clear it anyway, but if you don't, you're screwed over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The problem is if you don't go for the eggs, it becomes even more basic because it's just matching.
Oh yeah, without eggs, it's like this could be a Flash game.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Yeah. Even as is, honestly.
Yeah, these days.
Yeah, it's the sandwich stacker game for Lilo and Stitch. No one else remembers that.
I don't, but I believe you.
That just I just cursed joke. Thinking about Yoshi's cookies, like we need Yoshi's cookie clicker now.
Oh, there you go.
I would play that. I mean,
perfect.
I mean, Yoshi's Cookie still hasn't been re-released either. I think that game just doesn't exist anymore.
That's odd. I
Or
would
was
have
that-
would have thought it would have been re-released, but I mean, I think the only puzzle games we have, like puzzle games, is at least on NES, is this, Dr. Mario, and Wario's Woods, which I've never played.
I
Wario's
forget-
Woods.
Me neither.
Yeah, me neither.
So
That's another one of those ones I'm like, does that game actually exist?
I
Although-
would assume so, but also it'd be really interesting if we actually got our first actual localization, I think, of Mario and Wario,
Oh yeah.
because that's the one with
I-
Mario with a
another,
bucket on his head.
Yeah, that's another Game Freak one, isn't it?
Is it? It might be.
Maybe.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. Oh yeah, well there is Panel de Pon, but that's on SNES. I'm talking. Game Freak director Satoshi Tajiri,
Wow.
composer
Yeah.
Junichi Masuda. There you go.
Yeah, because I remember
Wow.
there's a reference to it. I think in Pokemon Red and Blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
or something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, apparently I think it used the mouse as well.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, the SNES mouse that
Wow.
was mainly used for Mario Paint.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh man, that's. We gotta get stop skeletons from fighting over here.
Oh yeah. I mean I've had them on before, so gotta get them back.
If they ever add the NES like mouse compatibility, because I
Oh.
think you can use keyboard and mouse on Switch. So
Yeah, I just looked. You
dude.
need
Yeah.
you need the mouse for this game.
Wow.
That's
Oh,
might be
wow.
why it was never re-released. So yeah, you control a fairy named Wanda, and it's a point and click. But would it be something if you could just pop in a USB mouse into your Switch, and
Yeah.
there you go.
that would be awesome. Or just use the touchscreen even, because
Yeah, that too. That,
Use the gyro as like a mouse pointer.
it's like you're holding like a little like popcorn pellet on like a plate like they used to do in art class, but you're like balancing the cursor.
honestly, I can imagine a lot of people going nuts if they actually managed to get Mario Paint on the NSO.
Oh, that
Oh,
would be
yeah.
awesome.
I've never
That
played it myself because I was like, I
either.
didn't have that artistic side to me, so I was like, I'm not good at drawings. I'm not going to bother.
Okay.
But I know
I
people
think what you
love
should
that
do
game.
is like have like a dedicated Mario Paint NSO app that also incorporates elements from Mario Artist on the 64.
Ooh, there you go.
And just have it like this like online community like Mario Maker where you can share your creations. That would be really cool.
That would be
something.
really cool,
Yeah.
man.
Oh man.
I
These
uh,
all sound like more fun video games than Yoshi.
Yeah,
yeah.
we have so little to discuss with Yoshi. We're like, what other games should they
Yeah,
have
like
on NSO
Mario
that we
Paint,
can
yeah.
play?
Yeah. All these other ones that could pop up on there. But I mean, that's the thing. I think, well, no, we don't really have anything else to say. We might as well wrap it up. We've
No.
pushed our limits already. I knew this was going to be short, but oh well. Yeah, I believe we said all we wanted to say about Yoshi, but let's give that final verdict. Would you recommend it as an NSO or tell people to stay away with an NO? Brandon, let's start with you.
Oh no.
I'd give it like a 6 out of 10, which means I don't think it's bad. I like it, but recommending it, I'd honestly no. And oh no.
I
Yeah.
think it would be a yes if they put it on Game Boy NSO.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the thing
Which I
is,
know it's splitting hairs at
not
this point,
that
but-
different in the grand scheme. And even reviews, you're very close, Jen, because a lot of reviews at the time were like, yeah, 4, 5. It's just completely average.
Yeah.
I
Completely.
mean, honestly,
average.
like, if I wanted to recommend you a puzzle game on NSO, I'd say Panel de Pon. So no, I'm like, no.
Always.
No, no.
And that's where I fall. Like, it is a completely fine game. Check it out for the 2 minutes it'll take to get to understand this game, but there are way more fun puzzlers on the NSO. Just
Yeah.
easily. And I like Jaden Buck. How about Matt SO?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. Yeah, we got two versions of Puyo Puyo thanks to Mean Bean Machine and Kirby's. I think Kirby's Avalanche is on NSO now. Pretty sure, or at least Star Stacker is. I imagine that's better than
Yeah,
this. I don't
one
know.
of them is, and also Columns I think is on Genesis. So you have plenty of options.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There's a good bit of puzzle options, and Yoshi is fine.
Outclassed.
Yes, has a history, but yeah, honestly, I don't even know if it's worth popping up. Like just as a fun little thing here. I didn't even remember this, but apparently, it was released on the Wii U on June 12th, 2013, as part of the 30th anniversary of the Famicom for the price of 30 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Which became which became the regular price starting on July 12th as well. So yeah, it just came out that for 30 cents, stayed at 30 cents. They knew they couldn't charge people the $5 for this.
That's funny.
Wow. I didn't think Nintendo would actually be willing to do that. I thought they would.
That's really funny,
like,
actually.
No, you will pay $4.99 for Yoshi and like it.
I mean, they did it with Urban Champion, but I guess that says something when they're willing to charge you more for Urban Champion than Yoshi.
That's at least this is an Urban Champion. That's one.
Yeah.
Went feather in its cap.
That is true.
There you go.
But again, sold super well as we talked in the preconception. So it that Yoshi name carried it forward.
Yeah. That's all you needed.
Yep. But what about all of you at home? Have you played Yoshi before, or was this your first time? All maybe 30 minutes of it, if you played that much. Oh, gosh. But before we go, where can everyone find you at? Jenny, plug yourself away.
Oh, sure. I'm on YouTube at Jenny Geist Vids, where I do video essays. I just did one about the new Doctor Who special, if you want to check it out. Also on Twitter, if anyone still uses that, at Jenny Geist _. I still tweet, regrettably, but yeah.
Regrettably, I'm still here.
Yeah, pretty much. Brandon, what about you?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job, which I think... I mean, I show up on the channel every now and again, but I localize manga for a living. That's my whole shtick. And I co-host a One Piece podcast with Derrick called One Piece at a Time, which you can find on Derrick's other channel, Nerd Games.
I think I also have it on Spotify and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So that you can find it there.
We're making good progress.
We are. We're making good progress, but we still have a long way to go. We're basically just wrapping up Enos Lobby for those who know what that is.
Yeah, we're about a third of the way through it after 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years of doing the podcast, about to hit episode 100, and we're only a third of the way through, about a third of the way through. Yeah. So holy crap.
That's One Piece.
That's One Piece, all right. That's 5 chapters at a time for you, so, oh boy. Yeah. Well, thank you both for joining me, and if all you lovely viewers enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments, and please consider supporting us at patreon.com/gvgaming, which includes our live audience tier that will allow you to watch Game Club live as it's being recorded. But even just subscribing and hitting that bell helps us a ton. But now it's time for the Wheel of Games to choose next week's title, as I'm joined by my special guests, Sabrina and Abby Willett. Are you both ready to see what game we're playing?
Yeah, let's go.
Yes. What does the wheel have in store for us this time? Let's go ahead and bring it up and spin that wheel.
What have we got?
And we are going to be playing... Who's ready for some sports? Mario Tennis for the N64.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! Yes! Oh, I love that game! Oh, that's so cool!
I haven't played that in years.
Exciting stuff because I've never played it. I was not an N64 kid, so
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There you have it. We'll see you next time as we cover Mario Tennis 64, basically. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.